Welcome to the My Retirement Clarity Podcast, where our goal is simple, to help you close the gap between what you know and what you implement. The team at JL Perkins Wealth Management does this by helping good people make great decisions so they can enjoy an amazing retirement. And now, here's your host and financial advisor, Lee Perkins.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the My Retirement Clarity Podcast. Man, I'm excited to have you here today because today's show is going to be a little bit different than normal. Typically, my good friend and co-host Ben George is here with me, and he's asking questions and keeping me on track. But this week, Ben is taking a very well-deserved break, and honestly, I think I'm kind of glad because today's show is not really going to be an interview or a conversation with Ben or with anybody else. Today's more of a reflection for me. And I wanted to share that with you guys, you listeners here today. So I'm actually recording today's show from a very different place than usual. I'm sitting in our brand new office. And if you could see it, you'd probably laugh a little bit. You get a chuckle out of it because there's not a whole lot in here. There's a lot of empty rooms. There's some boxes scattered around. We got a few wires hanging out of some walls and not a whole lot other things. The sheetrock guys have to come back in and patch up a few things. We don't have any clients walking through the door. There's no advisors here. There's no other team members here. There's not even any coffee in here other than what I brought this morning. So again, most of the workers at this point they're just taking care of their final punch list. So it's just me and Walker. He's here now putting together some of the new chairs that are going to go in our conference rooms. But other than that, it's just me in here today. So it's pretty quiet. And so as I was sitting here this morning looking around, I realized something. This building, this whole facility here it's not really about the building materials, the brick and mortar, the sheetrock, and all the really cool glass that we have in this place. I mean, there's a ton of glass in here. Can't wait for you guys to see it. So it's not about the conference rooms or the furniture that we don't have yet, but I hope is going to be here pretty soon. This building, to me, represents something a whole lot bigger. It represents opportunity. Now, I would be lying if I told you that this has always been a dream of mine, because it wasn't. But about 3 years ago, I knew this business had to grow beyond me and my two assistants. And I've talked about it on the show before. I realized that if something happened to me, there's a whole lot of people that depended on me, the families, the ladies that work with me, and that would be a problem. So I decided to expand and grow the business beyond just me, and boy, has that happened in a really fun way. So it's crazy to sort of think of where we were when I first went out on my own and started this business back in January of 2014, and then compare that to where we are right now. And so that got me thinking, especially this week as our country celebrates something that I think is pretty cool. America turns 250 years old this week, and think about that for just a second. 250 years. That time frame is a little bit impossible for me to wrap my brain around, because over that time, over those 250 years, we fought wars, we've had economic booms, and we've had some pretty painful recessions. We've had some leaders we really liked and some we didn't like. We've disagreed with people. We've stumbled. We've learned, and I think we've grown. But through it all, this kind of big experiment called America has made it through. We've endured. Now, let me say something that I think is very important to put out on a show like this. Our country isn't perfect. It never has been, and the people aren't perfect. Businesses aren't perfect. Certainly, I know mine is not. But I know if you spend enough time looking for all the flaws, you're going to find them everywhere, and you're going to find something to complain about. And so that's what I've been thinking about lately. Somewhere along the way, our society has gotten really good at talking about everything that's wrong. And I think we spend far less time appreciating everything that's right. And to me, gratitude changes the way that you see the world and the way you see everything around you. And so I always say that one of my favorite sayings is that your perspective really determines your reality. And so if all you consume is negativity, all you do is watch TV all day and listen to the media and especially politically charged TV shows, eventually you're going to believe that negativity is pretty much all that's there. Again, turn on the news for 10 minutes and you'll see it. Scroll typical social media feeds for a few minutes and you'll see that. And you'll be convinced that everything is sort of falling apart. But then I sit across the conference room tables from people that I see every day and I see something completely different. I see teachers and electricians who quietly build wealth by saving consistently for 25, 30 years or more. I see plumbers and trade guys who started with just about nothing and built something that they never imagined is possible, sort of like what we've done here. I see a lot of couples who sacrificed vacations early in life so they could enjoy retirement later, and that's what we're trying to do is, man, let's live. Let's enjoy what you've worked your whole life through. All these things that you've wanted to work for. I see, widows and widowers who've shown just unbelievable strength after losing a spouse and their worlds are rocked. I see ordinary people living what I think are pretty extraordinary lives. So that's America to me. And these stories, they don't make the headlines. But I'll tell you something that I've seen over the last few weeks that I think is really, really cool. And you've probably seen it too. So ever since the World Cup soccer tournament began, and I guess that's what you call it, is a soccer tournament, people from other countries are posting all over social media about how awesome the United States is. And it is unbelievable for me to watch. It's a lot of fun. And I think watching these guys from the UK eat our food and see their reactions, that is a blast to me. And so one of the other cool things is seeing their obsession over ranch dressing. I mean, that's one of the craziest things I've ever seen. And now I hear these stories about TSA has apparently had to send out memos to flyers that ranch dressing is actually a liquid and can't be taken on planes. So to me, it's really cool hearing these kind of stories. And now these people are getting on social media and they're telling everybody that America isn't what it's being portrayed as in the media in their countries. So how awesome is that? It's really cool. And so almost every day I see video evidence of the greatness of America that's on display by these people. And so it's super cool. And so one thing keeps coming back to me this week. If you live in the United States of America, America never promised you success. They never promised me success. But what the country gave me, is the opportunity to pursue that success. And I think those are two very different things. Success is never guaranteed in life. And it's just not. And life is not fair. There's setbacks, there's failures, there's heartbreaks, there's bankruptcies, there's death, and all these kind of things. We've all had our share of struggles, and I know you probably had yours too. I know I have. But what a blessing it is to live in a place where you get another chance, where you can start a business. You can change careers at age 50. Got a guy in our office who has done that. You can go back to school. You can invent something. You can build something. You can dream about something and it can be as big as you want it to be. And then you actually have the freedom to pursue it. Hey folks, Lee Perkins here. I wanted to tell you about our brand new book called Next Phase, How to Retire in a Year or Less Without Regrets. It's all about helping you prepare for the next phase of your life, whatever that looks like for you. So, if you're ready to make the most of your next phase, or if you're already retired and aren't sure you're doing all you can to get the most out of your retirement, then you'll want a copy of this book. All you have to do is text Next Phase to 478-475-2050 and we'll send you a copy right away. You can also access additional resources and register for one of our upcoming workshops at our website, www.myretirementclarity.com. Thanks for listening. Now back to the show. Another thing that I'm reminded of all the time, especially during political seasons, people vote with their feet. So let me explain that. Every year, people from all over the world leave behind pretty much everything they've ever known, their houses, their families, their language, their culture. They risk everything for the chance to come here to the United States of America. Why? Because opportunity matters. That thing that we take for granted. Hope matters. Freedom matters. Nobody ever risks everything to escape freedom. They just don't. But people risk everything to try to find it. So again, America's not perfect. We're not. Like I said before, we've never been perfect and are never going to be perfect. Just means that what we have here is incredibly valuable. And sometimes I think those of us who have always had it are the ones who are most likely to overlook it sometimes. I think about my own life. I'm sitting in an office today because years ago I had an idea. And that idea turned into a business. And that business turned into relationships. And those relationships have allowed me to help literally hundreds of families prepare for retirement. And it's super, super cool. And so I didn't inherit this from anybody, and nobody handed it to me. I made lots of mistakes along the way. I'm sure there's plenty of them. But I had the opportunity to try. And so does everybody out there. So I just think that opportunity is something that I will never take for granted, and I hope you don't either. So I'll wrap up kind of here. As we sort of celebrate Independence Day, I also I really want to pause and thank a group of people who made all of this possible. And it's the men and women who've worn the uniform of our country. And, whether you served in the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, the Marines, or Coast Guard, or even nowadays, Space Force, I think is a brand new branch of our service. I just want to thank you. You guys stand watch, so the rest of us can sleep. I mean, all the sacrifices, you miss birthdays and anniversaries and holidays, all those kind of things. We don't see those things. And I know a lot of you are carrying scars that nobody can see, and there's some families out there that paid the ultimate price, and they're still suffering from those things. And so the older I get, the more I realize that freedom isn't free. And it's easy, but it's really easy to sort of forget that because we've grown accustomed to it. We wake up, we go to work, we do our thing, we raise our families, we disagree with each other. We post stupid things online for people to see. We speak our faith, speak our minds, and then we of course practice our faith. All these things we take for granted. We got to realize that somebody protected those freedoms, and for that I'm deeply, deeply grateful. So I know I'm rambling a little bit here, but I think this is important. And when I first started thinking about today's podcast, I really kind of thought it would be about this new office that I'm sitting in, but I don't think it is. I just think it's about perspective. This office is not about achievement whatsoever. I know this could all go away tomorrow, but this is simply another opportunity, and it's another chance for me to serve people well with the team that we've built here, and it's a chance for us to continue to build something meaningful and have a meaningful impact on this community in Macon, outside of Macon, and beyond. And so I think that's what gratitude is all about. It shifts our focus from the things that we don't have to what we've been blessed with. And so for me, this 4th of July, I'd like to challenge you while you're spending time with your family, watching fireworks and cooking out, doing all the things that we do on this holiday weekend. I want to challenge you to take a moment to just reflect about things. Not all the things that are wrong, but all the things that are right. Be grateful for your family. Be grateful for your health. And be grateful for the opportunities that you've been given. And of course, be grateful for the people, the men and women who sacrifice so we can enjoy the freedoms that we take for granted. So from all of us here at J.L. Perkins Wealth Management, I just want to thank you so much for allowing us to be a part of your lives, and thank you so much for trusting us. Thank you for listening to us for every couple of weeks. We really do appreciate it, and I hope you will spread this message and share this podcast with folks that you know who might be interested in what we have to say. So thank you so much again. Hope you have a wonderful Independence Day. God bless you all, and may God continue to bless the United States of America. Hey there, Lee Perkins here. If you're like a lot of folks, you've been listening to this podcast for a long time now. But I've got an important question for you. Have you implemented any of the ideas that we've discussed on the show? If you haven't, what are you waiting on? You know you're not getting any younger. So here's my challenge. Don't just consume the content. Our number one goal for this podcast is to help you close the gap between what you know and what you implement. So if you're ready to implement, take that first step today and visit www.talkwithjlp.com and schedule a 15-minute phone call with one of our advisors, and we'll help you close the gap between what you know and what you implement so you can enjoy the next phase of your life. Now is your time. Don't procrastinate any longer.
Investment advisory services are offered by J.L. Perkins Wealth Management, a registered investment advisor and insurance agency. Information is for illustrative purposes only and does not constitute tax, legal, or investment advice. Always consult with a qualified tax, legal, or investment professional before taking any action.